could we do to help those over 50?
The biggest barrier is literally this point about having no idea what to do next. Because the issue and again, what I can certainly say is training is not the issue. I can get training courses coming out of my ears. I can fix my dishwasher watching a YouTube video. Access to training is not the problem. It's very difficult to commit to training when you don't know what the outcome is going to look like. So we do have to address that motivation point. What is it that I actually want to do next? And that comes really from a kind of a career guidance, some sort of career support counselling perspective. So I'd say that provision around that would be point number one.
And knowing what's out there, perhaps?
So that's point number two. So point number two is when I have people coming to me, so when we run programs of this, and I probably didn't say, but we've got 2,000 subscribers, surveys, more than 6,000 people and about 600 members. But when people come to me, it's very difficult to get transparency on the market. So I can tell people, there are a number of people when they're over 50 that want to become landscape gardeners, interior designers and career coaches, coming through my ears. And I can say to them through the community and the anecdotal feedback from the community, don't bother, you're not going to be able to get jobs in those areas. Where we've really struggled to get transparency is, well, where are the jobs? I can't point people to a jobs board that says, if you retrain in a particular area, you'll pretty much be guaranteed a job. Like we hear it, HGV drivers, we hear about nursing, it's stuff in the general press. But when you start to get down to a level of granularity, most people want to sell a training course. They're not really asked to be very open and honest about how many people then graduate and get jobs after that. And that lack of confidence, again, is a big barrier, particularly if people are putting up money. I would also say lack of infrastructure. So, when you're younger, you go nursery, you've got school, you've got a degree. When you're in your 50s, we're expected now to work for another 20, 30 years, but what's the blueprint? Again, where's the psychologically safe place for people to go? We see people paying 90 grand to go off and do an MBA, or 20 grand to go off and retrain, or 5 grand to go and do a coaching course, or whatever it might be. But the routes in at a later stage, very, very few and far between. Every FTSE 250 company has got a graduate scheme, apprenticeship scheme. Where are the career changer schemes? And again, it's that level of social community that's really important. When I was pregnant, I wanted to join the NCT. If you're an alcoholic, you want to work with a bunch of other alcoholics. When you're older, you don't necessarily want to train with a group of people who are 18 and 21. You want your own cohort of people that you can recognise and identify with. So that kind of targeted cohort idea is really important. The other thing I'd say is people are financially trapped. So the poorer you are, every employer, if I was to say to my employer, actually, I want a couple of days off to retrain, I think I want to become a counsellor, and even if I can access that training for free, what employer is going to turn around and say yes? By all means, enjoy. Employers act as though they own employees, but they're not even providing them with a job for life. Yet when someone tries to take some personal responsibility to develop their skills so that they can work for another 20 or 30 years, that door is closed. So again, there's this whole point about flexible working is unbelievably important because it's probably the only place that people will get that opportunity to even start to investigate what the options are.
I'm going to give you each a very quick opportunity, if you wish to use it, to mention one policy area that we've not discussed today that you think should be on the government's mind in this issue. If we've discussed everything, you don't need to say anything, but if there's something burning that we've not talked about, just tell us what it is quickly.
I would say that by far and away, the people I work with who are retraining to move into different sectors, their only mechanism for doing that is to volunteer, to develop the skill set and the confidence to enable to then get through an interview later on down the line. That is a privilege afforded only to people who can afford to volunteer. Why is it that if people are volunteering, I'm not saying you have to pay them, but could there be a tax break? Could there be an advantage for employers who are providing opportunities to volunteer? Because that is giving people the skills they need to then get a job.
Thank you. And lastly,